Are you looking for a way to add a more dynamic, dare I say, cinematic element to your live videos? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about how adding a slider can drastically change your live streams. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Polkowski, and here on this channel, we talk all about how you can use videography and live video to grow your business. And today's video is going to be a fun one. Oftentimes with live video or live streaming, people often think of that simple talking head style video. That's usually what it means. Occasionally adding some graphics or some PowerPoint slides, things like that. But in today's video, we're going to talk about some other video techniques that can add a lot more professional, kind of highly produced elements to your live streams. And we're going to use a simple tool of a motorized slider, so you can use this, as that one-man band, as a single-person producer slash talent on screen, and how you can use that to really increase the quality of your live videos. And right up front, I want to mention a huge thank you to Rhino Camera Gear. They sent me the slider that we're going to be using in this video. They sent it to me to review, to talk about, to use and test out and talk to you about. They're not sponsoring the video, but they did send this to me for free, so a huge thank you to them. And we're not just going to cover this slider, we're going to talk about how you can use just a motorized slider in general. So feel free to grab whichever motorized slider you'd like, and we're going to talk about a few techniques you can use to increase the quality of your live videos. So let's talk first about using the slider on your main camera. So you could use something like the Facebook app or YouTube, if you can go live on YouTube, directly to YouTube, or something like BeLive's mobile app, and have the camera, your main live streaming camera, be on that looping motorized slider. And it can work really well just to add a little bit more dynamic element to your live stream. You can use, your phone if you're just going from the mobile app. You could also even attach, say, like a web camera, especially if you got like a Logitech C920 or something similar, where you have a little bit of a cord. You could have that on your camera that way, just going back and forth on a slow looping plane, just to add that extra little element, especially if you have some elements maybe in the foreground, or kind of just a nice little elements in the background where people can tell there's a little bit of movement, keeps their interest while not being too distracting. You could also, if you're using capture cards for any of it, that's a great way to use. That's another great way to add like a DSLR or something else like that onto that camera, onto that slider as your main camera app. And you can again use the ROV slider. We'll talk more about that for any of those shots, but also many other sliders out there will help you achieve that exact look. Another option for utilizing the slider is to actually use it as part of your second camera, and kind of that second angle or that second shot, whether that's a behind the scenes one where you can see your main camera, just another nice little angle for an interview, or even kind of the background shot where people can see kind of from behind you and see everything else. There's lots of different ways you can do that. And again, if you're using a capture card, that's probably what most people will think of, is just hooking their HDMI from, say, a DSLR, or even from an iPhone. If you're using, say, like an app like Filmic Pro that allows a clean HDMI out, that's a great way to bring in that second camera angle. You can also use, again, something like the Elgato Epoch Cam in order to bring that camera in. Or if you are an Ecamm user, which I highly recommend for any app, for any Apple or Mac users, is to look at Ecamm Live. You can actually do NDI from your iPhone, do an NDI camera into that application, and use that as your second camera. So it makes it really easy to add that second camera angle, and have that second camera angle be a little more dynamic than even just a normal static second camera angle. So I really like using the slider on that. That's probably my preferred method, is to have the main camera be stationary, but then pretty frequently switch to that second camera angle that's on a motorized looping slider. And lastly, the third kind of option that you have to really incorporate a slider into your live streams is using a slider to capture B-roll. This can drastically increase the production value of any of your B-roll, and ultimately increase the production value of your live streams in general. And I love this option, and there's really an infinite amount of possibilities in the way you can use this to capture different elements. This is one of my favorites, something I definitely think you should be using, because really any, just about any live streaming software out there, especially any switching software, is going to allow you to add in videos as, say, an overlay or just separate videos in general, which is going to allow you to, with a little bit of pre-planning and forethought and kind of pre-production, it's going to allow you to drastically increase any sort of live stream that you're doing by adding these really cool elements in there that a lot of people aren't doing. The easy thought and easy application of this is if you're doing any sort of product reviews, gathering some quick B-roll footage using your slider and other shots to create a quick little intro segment or quick little B-roll segment of that product that you're reviewing that kind of breaks down all the different parts. And again, you can be talking over it live or you could pre-record some of that as well. But I highly recommend just adding those extra elements. But this is also a great way if you just want to have a really cool little intro or want to have a certain spot where you have some transitions, add some transition elements. Utilizing a slider, utilizing B-roll is a great way to increase the production value of what you're talking about. So those are just a few ideas of how you can use a motorized slider to increase the production quality of your live videos. But now I want to talk to you about how you can make that happen in an extremely affordable and portable way. So many sliders, especially those motorized ones, can often be very expensive, costing thousands of dollars, and can be extremely bulky. But no more. Enter this guy, the ROV Mobile Slider. This is a compact, portable, motorized slider from Rhino Camera Gear that allows you to use your phone to capture some really great dynamic slider shots that will really increase the production quality of your live videos. So let's break down how this thing works. First, I just want to mention why this is not a sponsored video by Rhino. They did send me this slider to review and use and talk about here on the video. So huge shout out to them and thank you for that. But just wanted to let you know that up front. And after a couple of weeks of using this slider, I am happy to say that I am a huge fan of it. So first, they come in 4 different types of configurations. There is the mobile, with the ROV Mobile, which is designed specifically for mobile phones. The ROV Pro, which is designed for mobile phones or to be used with DSLRs. And then they come in 2 different sizes, which is the Everyday and then the Traveler. So we're gonna be breaking down the one they sent me. It was the ROV Mobile, so we'll talk specifically about this, but then I also do have the ROV Mobile, this is the ROV Mobile Everyday version, so the smaller slider made for your iPhone or other smartphone. But then I was also able to get my hands on the Pro version, again in the everyday size. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the differences there as well. So let's talk about how to use this slider. First of all, we'll talk about some of the setup. It comes in there's a couple different ways you can set it up. It does have a tripod mount here, 2 different sizes. For your tripods, so it can be mounted directly to that tripod, which is really great. It also has the ability, it has these little rubber pads which allow you to use it as a kind of a lay flat and just set it on a table or any other flat level surface like that. And then it does come with some stabilizing feet. So if you have an uneven surface, you have the ability to just flip out these feet, these 4 feet, and kind of get the slider level using those 4 feet. You can adjust that so it's perfectly level and can be on any sort of grass or any other terrain like that, which makes it really friendly if you are out in the field trying to do some shots. So the ROV Mobile comes with this little mobile phone adapter kind of set up and ready to use right in there. Both of them, both the Mobile and the Pro, come with this little adapter. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Pro, the differences in the Pro in a second. But it allows you to swivel your phone, kind of get any direction. And it has a lot of different range of motions, which is great. And it will fit most smartphones right here in there because of this, the way it adjusts. And it is designed for landscape view. You're not gonna be able to have your phone in portrait mode. Really, there's no real good way to do that. So you're gonna have to take your slider shot in that landscape view. And to turn on, you just hit this little button right here. First tap will give you, if you just tap it, gives you the battery indicator, and you press and hold to turn on, and it'll do a little calibration and get it back to that home spot. And then you are ready to connect your phone. And just want to mention too, the battery in here is rated to last for 24 hours with kind of that mixed use ability. So it is a very great battery for something like this travel slider, so you can be out and about and not necessarily have to worry about losing battery or needing to recharge your slider when you're doing some long time-lapse shots. And then the next thing, once you turn it on, what you need to do is grab that ROV app, and then on this app here, you're gonna connect. First, I'll put the phone in kind of position, and then you have the option to connect and use your DSLR on the slider. We'll talk more about that later, but then you can connect and use your iPhone or mobile phone on the slider as well. So it's now connecting, and honestly, we are ready to start recording. So you can get that record going, and it's going to start the slider automatically. If you have all your settings set up, it's ready to go immediately. So it can be a really extremely fast setup. So again, if you are out in the field, doing some traveling, anything like that, and just wanna get a quick slider shot, very fast, very efficient in terms of setup and ready to go. And okay, let's quickly talk about some differences between the mobile and the Pro version. So this is the mobile version right here. This is the Pro version. One of the differences you're gonna notice right away is the finish. This has kind of that matte black finish. This has more of the gunmetal finish. So that's just kind of a difference right off bat. The Pro version is designed to hold that DSLR camera. So ideally, it is a little more beefed up. The motors are a little bit stronger because you're gonna have definitely more weight with that DSLR camera. It also comes with this camera mount right here with a little tripod adapter here. So you just slide that in, connect that to the camera, slide it in, and you're able to adjust your cameras. It also does still come with a phone mount. So all you have to do is unscrew the camera mount and replace the phone mount in there. Now, I will admit, one thing you're gonna notice you're gonna be able to do right away with your mobile one is you can also unscrew the mobile one and connect, say, another tripod or another ball head, or the ball head that comes with, say, the other version. So you definitely get a little bit of flexibility with the mobile as well, but it's, again, not rated for that, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that in terms of buying the mobile one and trying to use that with a DSLR camera. You're also going to notice on the Pro, it has the shutter, the camera shutter release cable connector. You have to purchase the cable connector separately, but that hole is there, that ability is there so that the slider and the app in the slider can actually run the shutter on your camera for time lapses, and that is just something that is not there on the mobile version. And again, in the app, I briefly showed you that you can select the camera instead of the phone. So if you're using the Pro version, you're going to want to select the camera, and you can still control the slider with your phone, but that's how you control the slider. You need your phone in order to control any of these sliders. You can't just hit a button and start the slider. That is one downfall, one kind of con that I feel it would be really great if you could just start kind of a basic movement even, or a preset movement by just hitting one button. Unfortunately, you can't. You need your phone there to connect to the slider in order to get that sliding move started. It will continue to go, especially if you have it on looping mode, it'll continue to go for quite a while, even if your phone does disconnect, but you need it in order to get things going. So that's just one thing to keep in mind and to realize. But now let's go out and actually put this slider to use. All right, we are out here early morning on the dock, and I just want to show you a couple of the features and like how to set it up, the ROV slider here for a couple different shots. So it can do a normal video slider, it can do a time lapse, it also does slow motion, but we're not going to cover that today, but you can also of course attach a camera and do a DSLR slider or time lapse, and I'll show you those here as well. But got a little bit of nice light behind me, so I'm going to go and just try and capture a time lapse of that here with the iPhone. So let's get that set up. Okay, so the phone is attached and connected to the slider. So now I'm going to go through the settings and just set it up and get it ready to go. If you tap, you can see here we're set for video. You can see right here we are set just for normal video. It's not what I want right now, so if I tap the little video, it comes up with slow motion or time lapse. Let's go ahead and tap time lapse. Okay, now that part's set, but then what you need to do is jump into your ROV settings. So it gives you a couple different options, a couple of different settings you can adjust. So you can go length of clip, or you can go for the duration you want it to record and kind of adjust that. I like to do length of clip, which is generally kind of the best way, so you get exactly what you're looking for in your time lapse, about the length that you want. I usually overestimate it just slightly. So right now you can see it's set for 5 minutes. I'm going to bump it up, or 5 seconds. I'm going to bump it up to 10. And you see by automatically doing that, it also adjusts the duration of the slide, so it'll be sliding for 12 minutes to get a 10-second clip. And in the settings, you can also adjust the way the camera looks by hitting the home button and then the end of slide button. So right now I'm at the return to home. I tap move to end. It'll show me what the slide at the end of the video, end of the time lapse will look like. So I can make sure. So I can make sure everything's framed up exactly the way I want it, because I want just a little bit of those chairs to be in that time lapse to give you a little foreground. You often want something in the foreground when you're doing a time lapse on a slider to help kind of show a little bit more of that motion that you're getting from the slider, to show really why you're using a slider versus just a stationary camera. So all set and ready to go. Let's hit start. Alright, so I just hit start on the timer, and you're going to see, I'll show you the slider here in a sec, but it's just slowly moving it along, grabbing those individual images, and then it'll put it together all at the end. And as you probably noticed, that the whole phone is very dark, just trying to save battery, because again, it's just going to be grabbing those images, slowly moving it along looks maybe about a couple seconds or so between each image, for the length for 12 minutes to get that 10-second clip. Alright, and just that simple. Your time lapse is done and ready to go. It's already playing back on the phone here, and so you can see you just save it to your library or delete it. But now I want to show you what it looks like when you're actually using a camera, DSLR camera, versus the phone. Alright, so now I want to show you what a slider move would look like with the DSLR camera, so I kind of have an idea of what to set up. We're not going to use a time lapse this time, we're just going to use a straight video, just so you know what that looks like and how it works. Alright, so once you get the slider turned on, you're going to open up the ROV app on your phone, or can be a tablet too, and you're just going to hit connect where it's under the camera. And then you're going to get your settings here, and it's really similar ones to what you get in the phone, but obviously you're not connected to the phone here. So I'm going to do duration is at 21 seconds. You know what, let's make it nice and slow, and we're going to crank it up to 25. Then you have a ramp speed of what percentage. I'm going to do 25% on that as well. I'm going to turn the loop on, and you can hit this little preview button, and basically what that'll do is actually move the slider during that length, so you can kind of see exactly what the slider move is. I'm not going to necessarily do that now. I just want to see what the beginning and end point is, because I'm trying to get a kind of a specific shot here with this. So right now we are at the home point. I'm going to tap move to the end, You see when I tap move to the end, it moves it all the way to the end, which I am very glad I tested out the move because I'm not getting the image that I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some adjustments. So now I just open that up a little bit and let's see if we get it exactly the framing that I'm hoping for. And it's close, but not quite what I want. All right, nice and stable. And let's test it again, move it to the end. I think that's about as good as we're gonna get here. It looks pretty solid, so let's go ahead and hit the start button. And as you can see, it's just going to slowly kind of go in that slider movement, slowly kind of move it. And I have it set to loop, so it'll come back and pull out, and I'll just kind of do that a couple times, and then I'll have captured my little slider move. And of course, with this slider, you are also able to get time lapses from a DSLR camera as well. So with this M50, I just basically have to enter the time lapse mode and set things up that way, which is a lot of playing around with speeds on both the slider and then like the interval duration there. And the only reason you have to do it that way is because the M50 doesn't have a camera shutter button or a camera shutter plug, so you can't connect a separate camera, or can't have the slider control the shutter on the camera because there's no plug in the M50. However, on say the EOS R here, I could easily do that. I do have the cable. That's a separate purchase. You just get this little cable and it plugs into the slider and then into the camera, and then the slider will actually control the camera shutter, which is really awesome and really cool. So the ROV slider is really an amazing slider. It's going to be super compact, great way to get some awesome shots whether you're traveling or just need some cool little elements in studio. And I really like it. I think this is definitely one of my favorite sliders, especially at this price point. Like, it's kind of insane, the price point that this is at compared to a lot of other motorized sliders, especially for the quality that you're getting here. So if you're ready to take your live streams to a new level, look at adding a slider. Highly recommend the ROV specifically, or check out any of Rhino's gear. They have lots of really great sliders and slider options depending on your budget, but the ROV Mobile is a great place for any live streamer to start because it's gonna get you some really cool dramatic shots at a very budget-friendly price, if you will. So highly recommend checking that out. You can click the links in the description if you wanna learn more about ROV and Rhino just in general, and some of the other sliders that and camera gear that they have available. So go check out the description for further information. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video, and I will see you in the next one.